Happy Monday, everybody. I thought I'd come on here and talk about some of the reasons why people commit arson, meaning that they set intentional fires. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist, and I spent several years working with different types of criminal offenders in the Department of Corrections, especially, but also in other areas as well. And so I'll just start out with naming some things. This list isn't comprehensive. It doesn't cover necessarily every type of reason, but some of the more common things that I've seen over the years in people who do this. Number one, people may commit arson to cover up another crime that they did that they don't want to get caught for. So some of the things may be burglary, murder, or things like that, where they've committed other sort of heinous crimes, and they don't want to get caught, and so they burn to try and cover up evidence. Number two would be for an insurance payout. When people have things that they either can't pay for anymore, or they're looking for money, they're looking for a way out. And I talked a lot on here about how I've dealt with mold many years ago, or for several years, and that's also something that happens when people are they're dealing with a huge mold problem in their properties, because a lot of times most insurances, homeowners insurances won't cover mold, car insurance won't cover mold restoration from that. And so a lot of people will set their homes and things like that on fire. But in other areas, hey, I need money, or things have gotten too expensive, out of hand, or whatever the case may be, I'm going to set it on fire. Number three would be a rage or retaliation fire. This happens in relationships, sometimes, where there may be infidelity, or people feel like there's some sort of injustice that has been done to them. And so they feel like, hey, I am going to get you back. I want to hurt you as much as you have hurt me. I want to do things. So a good example of this would be uh, Lisa Left Eye Lopez, when she burnt down Andre Rison's house. Their relationship was very tumultuous, but she burned down his home. It's part of their ongoing feud, but this has also happened too with other celebrities outside of that one. But this one was one of the more public situations and where this has happened. But rest assured, this actually happens a lot, especially with cars and things like that. Clothing. Another example would be on Waiting to Exhale. Was it Waiting? I think it was Waiting to Exhale, when her husband cheated on her, and she set all of his clothes, in his car, and all of his stuff on fire. So that's actually I hate to say it, a very common reaction, where people set things on fire, because I'm angry about a way that the relationship is going. I want to hurt you. I want to lash out and retaliate against you. Another way that this has happened is a very famous case, which they've made a movie about it. I forget what the name of the little boy's parents were, but it's a movie called David. And in the movie David, there was a dispute over custody, and the father did not like that the mother had custody, so he kidnapped the boy. He didn't return him back during the custody agreement, and he didn't feel like he should have to abide by that. So unfortunately, he set his son on fire in the bedroom while he was sleeping. Another this another famous example. And this could be, it could be looked at as retaliation. It was painted out as a way, like I was afraid for my safety. But Farrah Fawcett, in the burning bed, when she and her children fled from the home, and she set her husband on fire while he lay sleeping in bed. So that's actually something that tends to happen. And then also corporate rage, where you have people who will set businesses on fire. there was a movie about this. If my memory serves me, I think the name of the movie was The Office. If it wasn't The Office, please someone correct me. But in the movie, the premise of the movie was there was a man who was working for a corporation, and he had been there for some years, and essentially they kept moving his office. Like, so they kept downgrading his office, and eventually they just moved his office down into the basement. And so his anger towards his company was mounting. And I think he had threatened to set the place on fire a few times if they kept messing with him in the workplace. So eventually I guess there was a straw that broke the camel's back, and he set his company on fire. So that happens quite a bit as well. And that, another way, which kind of loops back to some of the stuff that I've talked about before, is when people want to set the things on fire that you love, as a control and abuse tactic. So again, I think this came up in The Burning Bed, or another movie as well, where she was going to school. Her husband did not want her to go to school, and he set her books and stuff like that on fire in a barrel. So people burn things that you love. These things could be inanimate objects. It could be hobbies, such as needlework hobbies or things like that, as a means to try and hurt you. This also happens with pets, and other things like that. Arson can also be the actual commission of a crime, in terms of a fatality. So I've kind of talked about that before, but it could be the way that people intentionally harm someone, and it doesn't necessarily have to be someone that they are trying to hurt per se, but more so people that they're trying to get rid of. So an example of this would be women who have babies that they don't want, and if abortion or things like that is illegal, or they can't. They fear for their safety to go back home and be pregnant. No one could find out that they're pregnant. Women have been known to set fetuses on fire and things of that nature. This kind of stuff also has happened when people are in a drugged state. So when they're not in their right mind, they're under the influence of a lot of substances. This kind of stuff has also happened as well. So, and I'm sorry, trigger warning, I should have said that. But those are the kinds of things that may happen in the commission. When you're in a drug up state, you kind of do some things that that you wouldn't necessarily do if you were in the right state of mind. Lastly, people also like to commit arson because they like creating chaos, and they like feeling like they're in control of creating chaos. And so one of the ways that this may show up is people who randomly set fires, just because they like the thrill that it gives them. So this has come up when people have set fires to new developments, like new home developments where they're building new homes. So by way of property destruction, and things like that. So people will set things like that on fire and watch it build and grow. And it's, they sit back and they admire their work like, oh my gosh, I did that. How exciting. And so people, sometimes people, when they do these things to people or to businesses and things like that, if they are a repeat offender of setting fires, or they like the thrill of creating chaos, they may videotape themselves in doing so. And so sometimes that may be the thing that gets them caught up, is the fact that they like to watch their work. Thanks so much. Hope that helps. Like, share, and subscribe.